So listen to this, in 2022, when Barcelona was in the 8th position in the league with no money in the bank and a shell of itself after Messi left, one player in the world, even if it was just for half a season, finishing his career in the highest of heights, only to throw it all away a few months later, making him an outcast from his peers and from society in general. That is the story of Dani Alves in a nutshell. But how? How did he rise to the peaks of football, and how did he tumble down to the depths of hell, is what we'll try and answer in this video. Dani Alves da Silva was born in Juazeiro, a city in Bahia, Brazil, on the 6th of May 1983 to extreme poverty and having to help out his father and his brothers in the fields. You see, Dani Alves' father was a farmer, and every day before school he had to go out and help him out, throwing toxic chemicals to kill bugs and bacteria from crops. Sure, it wasn't safe for him to do this kind of work, but that's the life you are presented with, he said. His only breather was football. He recalls that he used to try to outwork his brother so he can get the bicycle to go to school and get back home, saving his energy for the 12-mile walk and arriving early to play kickoff football with his neighborhood's kids. His father was also passionate about football, and when he was 6 years old he started his own little team. Dani was a winger but didn't score enough goals, which led to his father repositioning him into a right back. Little did he know he was going to be one of the best to ever play in that role. By the age of 15 he would finally join a proper academy in Bahia, far from his hometown and away from his family. He would share a dorm with 100 other kids, all with a dream of becoming a professional one day. This would push a young Dani to work harder and harder every day, finally earning himself a game with Bahia's main team. In a 2001 game against Paraná Club, he would provide 2 assists and win a penalty in the 3rd goal in a 3-0 win, which pushed former Barcelona striker and then coach of Bahia, Evaristo, to place him in the main team. With Bahia, he would score twice in 25 games, winning the Copa do Nordeste. These consistent good performances would raise interest from European clubs, with Sevilla showing the most attention. A scout would approach him and tell him about the Spanish club's interest, and despite not knowing anything about the club, he would just lie and say, "Sevilla, amazing, love that team." His strategy would work, and he would get signed for a 6-month loan for €500,000. And despite not playing a single minute those first 6 months due to him lacking physically and not speaking the language, Sevilla would trigger the buy option for another €500,000 in January, signing the player permanently. He would wait until late February to make his debut against Espanyol in the league before returning to the bench for the remainder of the season, getting subbed on 8 occasions. The following 2 seasons, he would gain a spot in the starting 11 under manager Joaquin Caparros, but he would be limited into mainly a defensive role. He would later recall that his instructions were to not go past the halfway line. It would take the hiring of Juan de Ramos in 2005 to finally unleash Dani into going into the attack. In the following 2 seasons, Alves would play 104 games, score 8 goals and assist 11 times, helping the team win back-to-back Europa League titles, known as the UEFA Cup back at the time, a UEFA Super Cup, the Copa del Rey, and the Spanish Super Cup over Real Madrid. This would earn him his first appearances with the Brazil national team, and eventually get called up to the 2007 Copa America, where he would help the team win the trophy over Argentina. Back at the club level, he would give his best performance with the club and assisting a staggering 18 times in 48 games. Despite not winning any trophy that season, Dani would be on the radar of every club in Europe. But one club would outbid everybody with more than €35 million, the biggest at the time for a right back ever. Here Dani Alves would arrive into what is now considered as the best team in football history. The 2008-2009 Barcelona season needs no description or talk. That year Barcelona would sweep every trophy known, destroying every club in its way, with Dani Alves playing a major role in that destruction, scoring 5 times and assisting 14 times. He would be named the best right back in Europe by UEFA and the best in the world by FIFA, as well as help Brazil win the Confederations Cup ahead of the 2010 World Cup. The following year would be less successful, as Barcelona would only win the league and get knocked out in the Champions League in the semi-finals. But Dani would again deliver with 15 assists and 3 goals, before again sweet season with Guardiola, whose under management in 208 games contributed in 80 concede 3 goals. He would later describe working under Pep as better than having sex, but Guardiola wouldn't share the same feelings.
I prefer the sex.
The following seasons he would be subject to racist chants and actions, including a highly covered and publicized incident at the Madrigal against Villarreal, where a fan would throw a banana at him while he was taking a corner. He would grab the banana, peel it and take a bite out of it, commenting later, "We have suffered this in Spain for some times. You have to take it with a dose of humor. We aren't going to change things easily. If you don't give it importance, they don't achieve their objectives." The player would get a lot of support from teammates and other players around the world, but back at his football levels under new management, Dani would continue to give big performances with the club, but his contributions would significantly drop under the management of Martino and Villanova. With Enrique, he would find his rhythm back a bit, something that would help the club win the treble again in 2015, but only a season later Dani Alves would leave the club. Publicly, he would say that he was just too comfortable at Barcelona and that he needed a new challenge elsewhere, but people from within the sphere would later report that he left the club due to a feeling of disrespect over then Barcelona president Bartomeu, wanting to extend with him only for a single year, saying that he was a player in decline. And Dani took offense to that and made a move to Italian side Juventus. He debuted against Fiorentina before scoring his first goal against Cagliari. He would go on to win the Serie A and Coppa Italia and reach the Champions League final before losing to Real Madrid. Less than a month after the final, Juventus and Alves would mutually part ways after only one season, with Dani saying, "I've spoken about it with my teammates. I joined Juventus also to prove to Italian football that it could improve. I just wasn't understood. I wanted to do something more, but I felt that it wasn't easy for me. I wasn't happy and this cost me a lot of effort. This is why I chose not to continue." Being a free agent, reports circulated that he was going to join Manchester City to play under Pep again, but Paris Saint-Germain would ultimately sign the player mainly to a very high salary proposition, joining former Barcelona teammate Neymar in Paris. There, Dani would say that he was way more happy. With PSG, he would play 19 games, score 10 goals and assist 20 times, winning the Ligue 1 twice, the Coupe de France, the League Cup and the Super Cup. Right after the end of the season, just before Copa America kicked off, Alves would announce his departure from the French team and would go on to drop a masterclass in Copa America, leading Brazil into the title, with him winning the Player of the Tournament award at the age of 37 and winning title 40 overall in his career. On the club front, he would join Sao Paulo, a club he supported since he was a kid. He would be given a contract until December 2022, receive the number 10 shirt and the captain badge on arrival. He would go on to score in his debut, winning the Campeonato Paulista and getting called up to the Brazil Olympic national team going to Tokyo. With the team, he would win an Olympic gold medal, becoming the oldest footballer to do so. However, his contract would get terminated in September following protests from the player and his camp regarding unpaid image rights debts. Only 1 month later, an aching Barcelona would announce that Dani Alves has signed a deal to return and play for half a season under newly appointed manager Xavi Hernandez, helping out the team who was going through hard financial times. With Barcelona, he would play 14 games, score against Atletico Madrid at the Camp Nou, before leaving again in the end of the season, this time to his final club with Mexican side Pumas UNAM. If we stopped here, he would be the send-off any player would dream of, playing for the best clubs in the world, having won practically everything to be won, in a career that spanned more than 2 decades, in being the most decorated player in history, only second to Messi, conquering everything to be conquered, and being named as one of the best players to ever touch the ball and amongst the best ever in your position. A classic and perfect ending. However, as you can see, there is still many minutes to this video. On the 28th of January 2023, Alves would get arrested by the Catalan police and placed under detention with no bail on charges of sexual assault, which alleged to have been occurred in a nightclub in Barcelona on the 30th of December 2022. According to El Periodico de Catalunya, the victim was led to Dani Alves by a waiter who asked her to touch his private parts before demanding her to go to the bathroom. There he would physically and sexually assault her. And I'm leaving a lot of details because what Dani allegedly did was pretty messed up and borderline sick. The hospital recorded that the victim had a knee injury that supported her claims. Additionally, Investigators discovered 7 fingerprints in the bathroom that corroborated her version of events, as well as DNA from Alves on her clothing, body, and the floor of the bathroom. Alves would give at least 5 different accounts of what happened that night. The first version, Alves told the media outlet Antena 3 that he didn't know the woman and suggested she was seeking fame by making her allegations. He claimed he had entered the bathroom unaware that she was already inside. However, surveillance footage contradicted this. After realizing this footage was part of the evidence, Alves altered his story in court. In his second version, he admitted to entering with her present but that no sexual contact took place. When questioned about why the woman would stay in a small bathroom with him for 15 minutes without any interaction and why his semen was found on the floor, he modified his account again. In the third version, he claimed the woman performed oral sex on him in the bathroom. On April 17, 2023, Alves gave a new testimony, saying that he had consensual sex with the woman during the incident and had initially denied this to protect his marriage. By February 2023, 8 witnesses had provided statements and reports indicated that the crime could be prosecuted under Spain 2022 consensual sex law, which broadened the definition of sexual assault. In his fifth account, detailed by El Periodico on January 17, 2024, Alves claimed he was heavily impaired by alcohol at the time of the incident. Alves would stay in prison until the day of the trial, which kept on getting pushed and delayed, before taking place over 3 days starting on the 5th of February 2024. It would be the first high-profile case under this new Spanish sex crime law, which broadened the legal definition of sexual assault. The identity of the victim would be kept private for her safety. His friends would say that they were drinking from lunch till dawn, with sons even claiming that Alves appeared reeking of alcohol after arriving home. The first 2 days would see testimonies from witnesses and experts, and the third would see Alves testifying himself, again denying raping the accuser and claimed that the encounter between him and his accuser was consensual. On February 22, 2024, Alves was convicted of rape and sentenced to 4.5 years in prison, with the requirement to pay 150,000 euros in damages to the victim. Alves' lawyer stated she would appeal the verdict following the sentencing. Barcelona dropped Alves from the Legends section but reinstated his likeness on the website a few days later. On March 20, 2024, Alves was released on bail set at 1 million euros, which was rumored to have been paid by Memphis Depay, something the latter would deny. He was required to surrender his Spanish and Brazilian passport, preventing him from leaving Spain, appear before the court weekly, and maintain a distance from the victim. The ruling, which was not unanimous, remains open to appeal. He remains active on Instagram and is seen playing football in public pitches in Barcelona from time to time. In my opinion, I think it's horrible that he is free. Anyone who is a convicted criminal should be behind bars serving his time. Being a famous person doesn't give you the freedom to hurt others, especially violent and sexual crimes against vulnerable women, but he remains free. And there is that, how one of the best players in this generation, one who played with the best players and under the best managers, one who won every tournament he played at, and one that had a beautiful family, a nice house, and a collection of cars and luxuries any person would dream of, would just go and throw it all away alongside his legacy, hurting an innocent woman, his family, and himself, and staining his image forever. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, I'm not defending him or his action, but on the contrary, I think he should pay for what he did. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well. Like if you like the video and subscribe. I'm trying to get 500 subs soon, so yeah, take care and peace.